In part one of this adventure, I went to Germany to visit my cousin for the first time in 10 years and finally had the opportunity to meet her 2-year-old son, my nephew cousin, if you will. It coincidentally, has been about the same amount of time since I've traveled solo. I first got a taste for it in college, kind of. I did a study abroad in Italy. I do think that opened a lot up for me in terms of traveling to a place I've never been to, speaking a language I didn't grow up with, and not being with family or even friends. It was later, as a very broke grad school student, that I would really get a taste for solo travel, ironically. I would spend summers going to concerts and different cities because I was intrigued by the museums and the culture. This was back when it wasn't weird to stay in a room on Airbnb, if anybody remembers that. So I was up in somebody's house, staying in a room. Wild to think of that now. I went back home to Chicago to reconnect to the place I had left when I was 18. That same summer in August is when I went to visit my cousin for the first time in Germany, but this time I made some stops along the way. In Frankfurt, I stayed in a hostel and met so many beautiful people from around the world and hung out with them. While I was with my cousin, I took a bus into Paris. This is when I got my phone stolen. No one to blame but myself. I put it down at the train station when I was in the metro, I want to say the first night, and went back after I went a few minutes on the subway and realized I didn't have my phone, and went back, and of course it was gone. And it just meant that trip became very memorable in ways that it probably wouldn't have otherwise. I hung out with my hostel mate and went out to dinner with her. She was South Korean. I went to some things that I had reservations for, and because I needed to stay on a schedule and not go to sleep, I went to the club with these guys who also were at this dinner that I had gone to at this stranger's home. So there was just so much serendipity and also just possibility that I was open to. And this was also just a time where I was thinking a lot about my identity. I was thinking about being black and traveling, and like, what was it like to be black in other places around the world. And so I just really enjoyed moving at this pace, during that time. And here it is 10 years later, to the month, and I'm thinking a lot about what it means that I haven't traveled alone in that way in that amount of time. In addition to literally unpacking, I also just started to unpack these thoughts when I first got to my hotel. So enough from me. I'm being rude. Back to me, who is still in Amsterdam. So I've just arrived to Amsterdam. It's about 8:24. I ended up walking from, I guess, what was that, the Central Station? No, I don't really know. I've decided that Dutch is not going to happen. But point being, I was one stop from the airport and needed to just transfer once and be a 5-minute walk from here. But yeah, buying a ticket to that station proved to be impossible. Like, literally, one of the kiosks only took cash and the other one was completely broken. Once I realized I was at the wrong kiosk to start with, because I was like, none of the stop stations that I'm looking up are in this system. So I looked and realized it was only a 22-minute walk from here. Amsterdam is so fast. I think when it comes to the trains, or at least, the central location, I noticed taking the train always was like 20 minutes. So I just was under this illusion that I had a 40-minute walk or something. And yeah, a car would have been like 10 minutes. The train was going to be 10 minutes. So yeah, I walked it and it was fine. Of course, it started drizzling like super dramatic when I got out the station. It got a little chilly, but for walking, I'm in my girlfriend collective unitard. Got a little cover up, so kept me from being chilly around the arms. So yeah, was in my sneakers. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts I started reflecting on my flight from Germany to here, which I'm like, should I come back and film that? I need to go to what they call the Jumbo, aka Jumbo in English. And I want to get some shampoo and conditioner and some snacks. So that's the supermarket. I can get a little bit of everything. Also, think I'm just gonna like order dinner and just chill in the hotel. Like I've just been like obviously traveling all day from the train from Julie's house to the airport to the train to walking to here, but also just being on the countryside. While it was slower, well, I guess that's really it. I'm transitioning from a much slower pace to a more bustling place, and also navigating travel on my own. And we did a lot of walking, which was really lovely, but yeah, a lot of daily walks, morning walks while I was with her. And so yeah, I just think between that like slower pace and also being active, and then dropping into what is the New York City of the Netherlands, yeah, it was just like a big difference. And so I am worn out, and then I had to like wear my backpack on my back while I was walking here, and just having my laptop and my toiletries, all that on my back was just uncomfortable. So I'm pretty beat. So I'm thinking I should just go to the Jumbo, because she told me it closes at 10 and it's 8:30, and I don't really want to mess around. Also, it's getting dark. So I'm going to do that, and then I think I'm going to come back, or when I come back, I will, yeah, like reflect a little bit more on what I think is my first solo trip in maybe a decade, which feels crazy. Like I really want to sit with that, because that doesn't seem right, but I think it's true. So alrighty, so we are back from the Jumbo with snacks. The primary focus was getting some shampoo and conditioner. I came to Europe with a blowout that was supposed to be a braid out, and that didn't work out. I decided to use a new setting spray, which was a bad idea, but I had a lot of faith, and when I took my braids down, my hair was so laid down and sticky. So anywho, got some snacks to try. These are lentil, like rice cakes, a little snack pack of those. This was only like €1 maybe and some change. I do have it here actually, which I'm glad. Well, they don't really give you an option to not take a receipt, but you can print out a long receipt or a short receipt, which I love. I don't know what the difference would be, but you know, we get those long ones. Maybe it's like the coupons or something. But anyways, I printed out the short one, and then it turns out you need the barcode on the receipt to get out of the grocery store. So that was good to know. But yeah, these lentil, that's the other thing I got. What do they call these? Lentil, I think on here they're calling them, okay, well, whatever. The point is, this was like one something I'm seeing. I think there's like two things with a similar code. So anyways, that was that. And then, oh, actually, because it's all the same brand, so I got this Leave brand. And then I got 2 of these bars, which are also this Leave brand. And so I guess they just make stuff out of lentils. But at my cousin's house, I had some lentil chips that were paprika flavored, so I was kind of trying to be reminiscent of that because those were really good. And she just had those in the house. So anyways, I also got these, as I said. So this was lentil with dates. And then this was lentil and apricot. And then I'm a chip girl, and I really wanted to find a chip that I never had. I got these sweet chili flavored chips. A lot of things had dairy in it. And then I just got a couple pairs just to have a snack. But also try fruit in another country as well. I just ordered dinner, so that should be here in like 20 minutes. I'm not sure what that smells like. It's got a nice kick. And honestly, I really like that. It doesn't taste synthetic. It's really like they just use the chili. They use the chili pepper and spice it up. And there's some like green flakes on here, but I'm not sure what they are. That's good. Alright, I had to stop myself from eating those chips. So anyways, I think, yeah, where I left off was realizing while sitting on the airplane to Amsterdam that I'm pretty sure the last solo trip I took was maybe 10 years ago. I'm truly trying to tap in. So I came to Germany for the first time when I was in grad school, and it was over the summer, and I think that would have been, I feel like summer of 2015. I know I have documentation of this somewhere in a lot of different places, but 2015 sounds right. I wasn't done with grad school. I did like a summer of solo travel. I remember actually I went to Philly for the Roots picnic, which was so much fun. Like it was, I think, yeah, one of my early days of really traveling by myself. Yeah, maybe that was the first time. I ended up staying in like a very probably racist neighborhood, so that was a little scary. But other than that, going to the concert and having regular tickets, but because I was by myself, you know, getting there early to secure a spot and then getting to know security. And so by the time the main event started, they like pulled me inside into like the, you know, wasn't like VIP, but the part where you actually pay to have seats, and took me to a spot where nobody was sitting. So that was really cool. It was like Miguel, and the Roots, and then I think, yeah, that would have been around 4th of July, and then, yeah, I must have gone to see her after that, so clearly I have a habit of seeing her in August. But yeah, I visited her, and then I took a bus from her town into Paris. I think it was like maybe 7 hours or something. So I remember getting to Paris in the evening. But yeah, like I said, that was 2015. And since then, was living in DC, and then I moved from DC to New York. And I remember that period of time from 2016 to 2019 was like so focused on getting settled, figuring out my career, where was I gonna live. So there was a lot of movement then, like having to leave one place and go to another place for whatever reason, roommate situations. I'm really glad that I tacked on these extra days. I'm really looking forward to seeing Amsterdam and learning the culture. Food is getting picked up. I have made a few reservations. I'm really looking forward to those places. I have a spot tomorrow that I believe is like Afro-Caribbean, but it's also an open mic night, so that's really exciting. And I've been thinking about like, do I want to get up and sing? What will that look and feel like? So that's been like making me like anxious, nervous and excited. I'm planning to do museums tomorrow. There's a couple of vintage and like thrift places in the area that I'll pop into. And I already found, I think tomorrow, I'm not looking at my itinerary, but I'm pretty sure I found like a breakfast spot that's walking distance. Grabbing lunch near the museums, and then the dinner reservation is actually like a 7-minute walk from my hotel, so that's exciting. And then Tuesday is when I'm trying to just kind of like keep it chill, go with the flow. I'm debating I can rent a bike from the hotel for like €13 or something, I think for like 3 hours, or you can take it for the day. And so would love to ideally bike from the hotel to a breakfast spot that I found. Maybe like a 20-minute walk would be a 5-minute bike ride. So I'm contemplating that. I'm giving myself Monday to really get a sense of just how intense the bike riding is. But so far, I mean, it is Sunday, but so far, it feels manageable. Like I figured out the walking path versus the bike path. It feels manageable. Like they are cruising, but I think I could do it. Like I think I'd be that annoying person that's maybe slow, but otherwise wouldn't be completely ridiculous riding a bike. So that would be really cool. So I just thought like, okay, let's push our comfort level, and if I could do that just for breakfast and then come back. And then I booked I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, I'm planning to go to the flea market and water pool plane. I know that's so wrong. I'm like not attempting Dutch at all. But water pool plane, I think it said it was like the biggest flea market in Europe. I'll have to check. But anywho, that sounded really cool. So I want to do that after breakfast. Probably get like a light snack situation. And then I booked a canal tour. And I was looking for something just very simple, open air, a little bit of history. I would have loved to have done like a black Amsterdam tour, but the woman who really paved the way doesn't do just like general tours anymore. So this one will just be like the basic, here's all the European history, I'm sure, but for the experience. So do that, and then there's this place called Watercant that looks kind of insane, but I'm really excited. It's a Surinamese chef who I think is doing like a mix of like street food, that kind of vibe. But I'm really excited for that as well. And I feel like I ended up last minute making lunch reservations at this vegan spot. I forget, it's doing like some kind of Asian something fusion. I can't remember what they called it, but yeah, it seemed pretty cool. Oh, I think it's called like Soul Vegan. So I made reservations for that. They open at noon, so I think my reservation's at 1. So yeah, I'll ideally go from like a bike ride to breakfast. Then I'll have to return the bike unless I take it for all day. I don't know if I'm about that life. We'll see. And then come back or go to the flea market. So bike ride to breakfast, flea market. Actually, I think I'm getting my days mixed up. The Soul Vegan place might be for tomorrow, actually. Yeah, tomorrow is when I have the reservations for lunch and dinner. Breakfast is close by. Museums, some casual vintage. Close with an open mic at the Afro-Caribbean. Then Tuesday is the bike ride to breakfast. Open air flea market. Light lunch. Because then what I want to do is come back here, take a breather probably, go do the canal tour, and then from the canal tour, I'm planning to do dinner. So those are the vibes. My hotel was conveniently located at the end of vondelpark, and so I took a lovely stroll the next morning from one end to the other, very much so giving Central Park vibes. There were little ponds and cafes tucked away, and just really beautiful foliage to take plenty of pictures of and just enjoy the energy of the park. From there, I made my way to my reservation at Soil Vegan Cafe. Really cute spot, lovely energy, and the location was really nice as well. The food was very tasty. These jackfruit tacos were the most exciting, but the noodles and the apple pie dessert was really delicious. I wandered a bit and stumbled into this beautiful, natural, organic spot and got a couple of things. And then I went to the Moco Museum. This was such a disappointment. I don't know where my head was. I guess I didn't read what this museum really was, but as you can see, it was giving very Instagram top 10s of the art world. And so while I got a couple of shots, I promptly left there and went to the Contemporary Design Museum. I'm not even gonna attempt to say the name, but it was really, really beautiful, stunning space, a really lovely cafe area that you could work from, recharge alongside the bookstore, and the museum was just so grand. I honestly don't even think I made it through all of it. It covered so much. and I wish I got better photos and videos, but it was just beautiful. So definitely worth the visit. And I also want to note beautiful. So definitely worth go to the Van Gogh Museum, because at some point I realized as I was building my itinerary, and I don't want to do that. I was only going to go because I thought I had to go, but I didn't want to, so I didn't. To note that what I did do is make my reservation to at some point I realized that night, which was also their open mic night. I don't want to do that. And wow, I was only going to go because there were poets and performers from around the world, and they took this very seriously. What I did do is make my reservation. So I chose not to sing, not because I was scared, but I was truly taking it all in of how powerful that night was. The next day started with a juice and a salad at Dignita, not too far from my hotel stay. It's not pretty, but she was delicious. And I, in fact, went today. Powered by my bicycle, I rode over to Marbles Vintage, a little cute vintage shop, and across there was some food festival block party. It just kept going and going and going, but I walked for a little bit of it just to see the different food vendors and shops and markets that were there, vending outside of their stores or just doing a pop-up like this stroop waffle. Terrible accent, but it was really cool to see how this actually gets made and see it done as a homemade, need of treat to the Dutch versus like the little packet I get on the airplane from time to time. I then made it to Waterloo Plain Market, which is the open air flea market, and I pretty much went straight to business. I was leaving there with something. I went to this little spot over here on the left. I started rummaging and some vests started to stick out to me. I could totally see myself and my wife wearing this, and I actually haggled, which is not really my personality, and it worked. I got a little deal, so that was cool. I did wish that there were just a few more sellers there, but it was really nice, and it was also a really nice day. I had a few hours before my canal tour that evening, so I just spent the next few walking around, sightseeing, and popping into different shops. Grabbed a drink, and then it was time for my canal tour, and I'm thinking about just making a whole separate video to capture the vibe of that. But it was really lovely to get a sense of the history of the Netherlands and the architecture, which has so many similarities to New York where I live. In 2.5 days I managed to do a lot, and I'm just so grateful that I took this intentional time on my own to really just wander and just be. I got a lot of writing done on this trip, a lot of thinking done on this trip. When you've been partnered for a few years, it's easy to think of yourself as a unit, and so this was a great reminder to reach back into who I used to be and nurture some of those curiosities, and it doesn't have to end with Amsterdam.